Hello and welcome to a Path Less Travelled UK Tower of London to Borough Market tour. My name is Marcy, and as with all of my walking guides, the aim of this tour is to make travelling between points of interest more interesting. For the main attractions, please make full use of the guides at the sites to get the most of your visit. Before proceeding, please ensure you have listened to the introduction on YouTube or read it on the Path Less Travelled UK Facebook or Instagram pages. This will give you all the relevant information, such as important safety notices, as you are responsible for your well-being at all times on these tours. Also, don't listen to the commentary while walking. Keep alert of your surroundings and find a safe spot to stop and listen. The next two photos are from Google Maps, giving an overview of the area we're covering. There are also detailed maps with each section a commentary to assist you in finding your way around. The whole tour takes approximately an hour, not accounting for stopping at the sites. You will want to start this tour as early as possible, as you can easily spend 3 hours just in the Tower of London. Now, assuming you're up to speed with the general premise of these self-guided walking tours after listening to the introduction video, let's begin. Today's tour starts at Tower Hill Underground Station and ends at London Bridge Underground Station. On the way, we will be taking in the Tower of London, Tower Bridge, Southwark Cathedral, the Golden Hinde ship, and Borough Market, among other sites. If doing this tour on a Sunday, please check the service times at Southwark Cathedral so you can attend or avoid accordingly. It is Church of England, so Protestant in faith. Also note that Borough Market is closed on Mondays. Tower Hill Station is on the Circle and District lines, as well as being very close to Tower Gateway Station on the DLR, that's Docklands Light Railway. If using the latter, please follow the signs to the pedestrian walkway to go over to Tower Hill Station to start the tour. However you arrive at the station, take the exit to the left of the exit turnstiles. You will see a sweeping staircase to the right. Go up these stairs and stop when you see the large sundial. Pause commentary until you reach there. The sundial at Tower Hill is a relatively new addition to London's features, having been unveiled in 1990. The sculpture, designed by Lorne McKean and Edward Russell, is 3.7 metres high and made of bronze. Around the base you can find a timeline of the history of London covering 43 CE to 1982. If you look carefully, you might just spot Margaret Thatcher, complete with handbag, on the panel marking the Peasants' Revolt. Make of that what you will. The view from here is also quite impressive, giving you your first look at the Tower of London. We'll get to that soon, I promise, but there are some interesting sights to take in on the way. Next, take the stairs to your right when facing the tower, and turn right at the bottom. Follow the fence on your left until you reach the opening to Trinity Square. Enter the park and turn left, heading for the memorial pictured. Pause commentary until you reach there. The memorial to the merchant seafarers is for the brave people that died while protecting the Falkland Islands in 1982. The Falklands today are self-governing, but foreign affairs and defence are still handled by the British government. Argentina claims that the islands are theirs, but personally I always believe it should be up to the people that live there to decide whom their allegiance lays with. The memorial was unveiled in 2005. Next, please turn right and make your way to the impressive memorial pictured. Pause commentary until you reach there. The Tower Hill Memorial for Mercantile Marines is a tribute to the 12,000 men that were killed in World War I that have no formal grave. This includes fishermen and merchant seafarers. It was designed by Sir Edward Lutyens, with sculpture by Sir William Reed Dick, and unveiled in 1928. It is a Grade 1 listed building, which only makes up 2.5% of listed buildings, showing its historical importance. Please next pass through the memorial and turn right at the end. Head for the stairs slightly to the right in front of you. Proceed carefully down the steps and stop when you are within the sunken area. Pause commentary until you reach there. This portion of the Tower Hill Memorial, the Grade 2 listed Merchant Seamen's Memorial, pays tribute to the fishermen and merchant seafarers that died in World War II with no known grave. It was designed by Sir Edward Moff, with sculpture by Charles Wheeler, and unveiled in 1955. Of the 32,000 lives lost by seafarers during the conflict, almost 24,000 of them are commemorated here. When finished, please make your way back up the steps on either side and turn right. A few meters down on the right-hand side, you will see this small square. Pause commentary until you reach there. The Tower Hill scaffold site, though small, is a very powerful reminder of a brutal past. You will see on the boards around you the names of some of the 125 people executed on this site, many by beheading. This took place between 1381, following the Peasants' Revolt, until 1780, with the hanging of 3 people that took part in the Gordon riots. The most notable figures to meet their end here were Sir Thomas More, the Lord High Chancellor to Henry VIII, George Boleyn, brother of Queen Anne, accused of incest with her, Thomas Cromwell, Henry VIII's chief minister and at one time the most powerful man in the kingdom, and Lord Guilford Dudley, the ill-fated husband of Lady Jane Grey, the 9-day queen, who was executed after Mary I claimed the throne. Jane was executed within the walls of the Tower on the Green. There is a memorial there to her, Anne Boleyn, Katherine Howard, and many others that died there. Now, before heading into the tower, I just want to share something to lighten the mood, shall we say. Please make your way towards the gateway in the corner of the garden that heads to the street called Tower Hill. Cross the street when safe to do so, and walk straight ahead, past the ticket office on the right, until you reach this small cylindrical brick structure. Pause commentary until you reach there. Before the striking Tower Bridge was built, which only dates from the late Victorian period, people still needed a safe way to cross the river in this area and didn't always want to use a boat. In comes the Tower Subway Tunnel. Opened in 1869, this 410-metre, that's 1,340 feet long, cylindrical tunnel was lined with cast iron. It originally had a wooden carriage on a cable to bring passengers across, but it was converted to a foot tunnel shortly after. Over 1 million people a year used it, paying a halfpenny for the privilege. After Tower Bridge opened toll-free in 1894, the tunnel lost its popularity and closed in 1898. It is now used for water mains and telecommunication cables. The reason it is significant is the same method used to construct the Iron Shield Tunnel for this subway was used to create the first underground train tunnels in London, the mother of the Underground network. Now turn and take in the Tower of London. Go up to the railings so you can see the dry moat. Recently they've been planting it with wildflowers in the summer, and curtain wall. Pause commentary until you are at the moat edge. Though called the Tower, it is actually a collection of buildings, many reflecting different time periods, as there has been some kind of fortification here since at least 1066, when William the Conqueror became king. If you wish to go to the Tower of London, and as it's the #1 tourist attraction, I'm assuming the answer is yes, and have not yet purchased your tickets online, which I recommend to avoid the queues, or taken out a Historic Palaces membership, please purchase your tickets before listening to the next section of the tour. Allow approximately 2 to 3 hours for your visit. Pause commentary until you have finished at the ticket office, but not yet entered the site. Proceed through the gates to the far left of the large tower gift shop to enter the site. If not immediately obvious, ask the attendants where to wait for the Beef Eater tour, which I recommend if this is your first visit. You can only gain access to the church where Anne Boleyn and Katherine Howard, 2 of Henry VIII's queens, are buried on this guided tour. They are very entertaining on the whole and included in your ticket price. Beefeater, by the way, is a nickname for the yeoman warders, who are retired military personnel who act as ceremonial guardians at the tower. While you may chat to and ask to take a photo with them, please do not do so with the guards outside the jewel house. These are working military personnel, and I ask that you respect them and any police when visiting these sites. If for any reason you don't take the tour, I suggest picking up a guidebook at least to get the most of your visit. I always head for the jewel house on the far side of the complex first, and then work my way back, as this tends to have the longest queues later in the day in my experience. The wall walk after Edward I's apartments gives great photo opportunities of the grounds. Please pause commentary until you are in the grounds, about to enter the White Tower. That's the large castle in the centre of the complex. The thing I most want to draw your attention to is the staircase to the White Tower entrance. Halfway up, you will see an opening off the landing with a sign giving details about the princes in the tower. Most of you will have heard of their uncle, Richard III, whose body was found under a car park and reburied at Leicester Cathedral in 2015. When Richard's brother, Edward IV, died, his teenage son, Edward V, became king in April 1483. Richard was appointed regent until Edward V came of age. Edward and his younger brother, Richard, Duke of York, were brought to the Tower, allegedly for their protection by their uncle. By sheer coincidence, the Bishop of Bath and Wells announced at this time that Edward IV had a pre-contract of marriage with another woman, hence his marriage to his queen Elizabeth Woodville was unlawful, thus making all the children illegitimate. I find the fact that he waited until after Edward IV had died to share this information highly suspect. In any case, Parliament declared Edward V illegitimate based on this, and Richard III was declared king in June 1483. The princes disappeared from public view by the autumn and were never seen again. There has recently been some supposed evidence of at least one of the princes escaping to Europe, but I'm afraid it hasn't been enough to change my mind. The remains of 2 young people were found near this spot, and are interned in an urn in Innocents' Corner at Westminster Abbey, just past the tomb of Elizabeth I. Though at the time of recording it has not been scientifically proven to be the princes, I think whatever happened to have these 2 children buried in a stairwell make them worthy of their grand interment at the Abbey. I could go on about the history of the Tower all day, but there are a wealth of displays and guides to help you get the most of your visit, so I'll leave it at that. I truly hope you enjoy exploring the site. When ready to move on, you can leave the way you came in, if you wish to check out the gift shop, or the side exit on the river if you want to save a few steps. Pause commentary until you are at the riverside with a good view of Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge, which is mistakenly called London Bridge by millions, was completed in 1894. The neo-Gothic design was favoured to blend in with the Tower of London. It was the largest bascule bridge, that's a bridge that swings open to allow boats to pass under it with the help of a counterweight, built up to that point and ran on steam power until 1976. Once you have taken your photos, make your way along the river to the archway under the bridge, ensuring that you use the pedestrian part of the underpass on the left. From just the opposite side of the arch, we have a loop, as explained in the introduction video. We are briefly taking in St. Katharine's Dock and have a nice photo opportunity with a classic red phone box and a dolphin sculpture. Lovely pub too. If you wish to bypass these, please stay in a safe place near the staircase going up to the road going over the bridge. In other words, the stairs immediately to your right once you go through the archway and carefully cross the street you were just walking along. Do not use the stairs on the left or you will be on the wrong side of the bridge. If you are taking part, carefully cross the road in front of you and head slightly left to St. Katharine's Dock. Follow the path as straight as you can possibly go until you see a multi-story pub called the Dickens Inn. Pause commentary until you reach there. The Dickens Inn was originally a warehouse built in the early 1700s. It had to be moved 70 metres, or 230 feet, east to make way for housing development. It was converted by Cedric Dickens, grandson of the author Charles Dickens, in 1976. That was when the timbers and ironwork were reused to form the 3-storied inn that you see today. I just think it's one of the prettiest pubs in London and wanted to share it with you. Just outside you will see a red phone box and a red pillar post box nearby, another photo op. St. Katharine's Dock itself dates from the 12th century, when a refuge for travellers and the infirm, St. Katharine's Hospital, was set up by Queen Matilda, King Stephen's consort. By 1825, a new bill transferred ownership of the dock, and the hospital was destroyed along with many other buildings. New warehouses were constructed, and the dock thrived for decades. It was heavily bombed in World War II and officially closed in 1968. Regeneration started in 1973 with the building of a large hotel on the site, and that is why the majority of the buildings are modern. Once you have finished here and maybe had a cheeky drink, head back to the bridge that you crossed over in the dock, but turn left before crossing so you are walking alongside the water. Cross over the pedestrian bridge at the end and pause at the large sundial on the opposite side. Pause commentary until you reach there. This sundial, designed by Wendy Taylor in 1973, is a testament to man's first astronomical timepieces. I also happen to think it makes a nice prop in the foreground of photos of Tower Bridge. We are next making our way further along the river, where you will find the Girl with a Dolphin sculpture. Pause commentary until you reach there. This bronze sculpture was made by David Wynne in 1973. He studied zoology at Cambridge University and researched this piece by swimming with dolphins for hours. Another interesting photo op with the bridge, as well as in its own right. Next, we are heading to the base of the stairs on St. Catherine's Way that are to the left of the archway when looking at Tower Bridge. Pause commentary until you reach there. Please climb the stairs carefully and take your time. Once at the top, you will be on Tower Bridge itself. Cross over the bridge, making sure to pause and enjoy the views. Do not cross the road to the opposite side. If you wish to take photos from the other side, please come back to this point and use the staircase to the right that I told you to ignore earlier. There is a Tower Bridge experience which lasts 45 to 90 minutes, taking in the towers, raised walkway with glass floors, and engine rooms. I have sadly never been on it, so I can't give you my opinion, but if it takes your fancy, feel free to pause the commentary and indulge. The ticket office is at the base of the Northwest Tower, which you will pass. Once finished, or if you are carrying on without visiting, head over the bridge and take the stairs down and turn left when you see the engine room and shop, passing under the bridge again. Pause commentary until you are just inside the archway. Here we have the second loop on today's tour, which is a recent discovery for me. Carry on under the archway, and soon on the right you will see the Courage Yard. Enter and make your way to the fountain in the center. Pause commentary until you reach there. Not wishing to take away from the impressive sculptural work of the nymphs by Anthony Donaldson, the thing that makes me smile about the fountain is the little items that look like they were left there by accident. These include a watch, notebook, camera, and cassette player, which shows the age of the piece being from 1991. Next, exit the yard the way you entered and turn right to view the charming road known as Shad Thames. The reason there are multiple walkways over the street is these flats, that's apartments to our North American guests, are in converted warehouses, and they wanted to retain as many original features as they could. These walkways would have been used to transfer goods between the warehouses. The artists David Hockney and Derek Jarman lived on the street in the 1970s, prior to the area being redeveloped in the mid-1980s. When finished, return to the area under the arch we started the loop section at. Everyone, please follow the next set of directions. Walk along the path by the river, heading west towards the large grey battleship dock there, making sure to take some photos of the Tower of London and Tower Bridge on the way. Pause commentary until you reach the ticket office for the ship. The HMS Belfast was launched in March 1938 and built for the Royal Navy. The ship is now permanently moored here to give the opportunity to experience life on a town-class light cruiser during World War II. Her primary role was to protect the Arctic convoys going into Russia during the war. She last saw service in the Normandy campaign in June 1944. Anyone with an interest in war or military history will most likely enjoy the ship, but be warned there are several steep ladders to navigate. Allow about an hour to take it all in. Pause commentary until you exit the ship and are back on land, or if not visiting, please continue to play the commentary until the next pause point. A very short way further down the path is Hayes Galleria. The shopping centre houses the Navigator's steampunk statue at its heart, which was created by David Kemp in 1987. The building was known as the Larder of London in the 1800s due to the vast amount of tea imports that went through it. Now, I'm going to let you in on a secret. If you continue straight ahead out to Tooley Street, the station you will see across the street in front of you, London Bridge, is connected to the station we will be finishing our tour at after Southwark Cathedral, the Golden Hinde, Winchester Palace and Borough Market. If you have had enough walking for the day, cross at the pedestrian crossing and follow the signs to London Bridge Underground Station to take the tube to the destination of your choice. That's the beauty of these tours. You are in control and you can always come back to this spot and finish the tour another day. If I haven't defeated you yet, however, please go back out the way you came into Hayes Galleria and turn left to follow the Queen's Walk along the river. Climb the staircase at the end, which will take you onto London Bridge, the real one. Turn left and you will pass one of the dragons that guard the entry into London. Though this one dates from the 1960s, they have been a feature since the 17th century. Keep walking towards Southwark Needle, which is hard to miss, and turn left onto the road marked the A200 on the map. On the left you will find these rather unattractive stairs that will take you down to Tooley Street, or you can walk further down the road and take a sharp left to enter the street. Whichever you prefer, go under the bridge underpass, and soon on the left-hand side you will see the opening to the front of Southwark Cathedral. Pause commentary until you are at the cathedral. Southwark Cathedral has been the site of Christian worship since at least 1106, when it was part of an Augustinian priory, but possibly was a nunnery before that. The building you see today was primarily built between 1220 and 1420 and is Gothic in design. The nave had to be reconstructed in the late 19th century, though. When you first enter the cathedral, turn left in the corridor and go out the doors at the end into a small courtyard. Standing towards the back, turn and face the doors you just came out of. You should see a little carving of a face that looks slightly newer than the others up on the left. This is a tribute to the cathedral cat, Dorkins Magnificat, who passed away in 2020. The cathedral has a new cat named Hodge that you might be lucky enough to see. Make your way back into the corridor, and at the other end is the entrance to the main part of the church. I ask you to look out for the stained glass window depicting all of William Shakespeare's plays over the monument to him on the right side of the cathedral, though he's actually buried in Stratford-upon-Avon. He did worship here when in London, though, and his brother Edmund is buried here. This is marked with a ledger stone in the choir area. Charles Dickens visited the cathedral in 1886 and set many scenes of his books in Southwark. John Harvard, the first benefactor of Harvard University in the United States, was baptized here, and there is a chapel named after him. You can go out to the grounds through the doors directly opposite where you entered the nave and make your way to the left. There's a little photo op with a statue of Shakespeare, but what I really want to draw your attention to is the moving memorial towards the back of the grounds to Mohammed Weahmonon. Apologies for the pronunciation. It really gives a window into a part of history few discuss. If you are lucky, you may, as I did, come upon a rehearsal for one of the many concerts held at the cathedral. Lastly, there are credit card readers at the back of the nave requesting donations. I ask if you are able to do so, please consider making a contribution to the upkeep of this building, which is important both historically and spiritually. I would allow 30 to 45 minutes for your visit. Pause commentary until you have finished your tour of the cathedral and are back out in the square. You are next going to exit the square and turn left onto Montague Close, following it until you reach the fork in the road with Cathedral Street. Turn sharply right and make your way to the ship in front of you, the Golden Hinde. Pause commentary until you reach there. The Golden Hinde is a full-size reconstruction of the first English ship to circumnavigate the globe. It was captained by Sir Francis Drake, Queen Elizabeth I's favourite pirate, and after departing in 1577, returned triumphant in 1580. If you would like to explore the ship, which takes about an hour, pause the commentary now. If not, turn with your back to the side of the ship so you can see the road going through the opening between the surrounding buildings. This is Pickford's Wharf. Walk down the street a couple of dozen steps and you will see the ruins of Winchester Palace. Pause commentary until you reach there. Winchester Palace was built in the early 13th century for the bishops of Winchester who were in charge of Southwark Cathedral. You can still get a sense of grandeur from the remains of the Great Hall and Rose Window. The grounds surrounding the palace included a prison, a brew house, a tennis court, and a bowling alley. The palace was used until the 17th century, when it was divided up into warehouses and tenements. The ruins were rediscovered following a fire in 1814 and put on public display in the 1980s following the area's redevelopment. We are next going to make our way to Borough Market, and if you've made it this far, well done! Go back to the Golden Hinde and turn right, following Cathedral Street, and this will take you to Borough Market, which is nothing short of a food lover's paradise. Make sure you take in both sides of the market. Have a good look around before buying is my top tip, but bear in mind it closes at 5 p.m., 4 p.m. on a Sunday, and is closed all day Monday. Pause commentary until you either finish at the market or followed Cathedral Street, which turns into Bedale Street, until you reach Borough High Street at the end, marked the A3 on your map. If you haven't exited the market yet, please do so and make your way to the corner of Bedale Street and Borough High Street. Incidentally, that huge building in front of you is the Shard, the highest building in the UK at the time of recording. You will now see London Bridge Underground Station up the street to your right, down some steps in the pavement. Enter the station, taking the tube to the destination of your choice. London Bridge is on the Northern and Jubilee lines. This is the end of the Tower of London to Borough Market tour. I hope you have enjoyed it and will join me again on A Path Less Travelled UK soon.